Hello and welcome back, Halloween Horror Nights fans. If you are new to this channel, I am Shannon and this is One Spark of Magic, and right now we are counting down to Halloween Horror Nights 2025. And on this week's video, we are going to be going through all of the original houses that have been announced for this year's event. As a quick recap, Universal has announced all 10 of the houses that will be there this year, including 5 original houses and 5 IP houses. Now, if you have not seen my previous video regarding the IP houses, I'll link that in the description below so you can go check it out after you're done with this video. But today, we're going to be covering all 5 of the original houses right here, and we're going to be ranking them in my hype list, and if you stay all the way to the end of this video, you'll be able to see my predictions for which ones are going to be the scariest. Now, one of the great things about these original houses is, unlike the IP where people are familiar with the stories and the characters that are already created in these movies or video games, the original houses are created by Universal Creative themselves, and every year gives them a new way and a new story to be able to present something to you. So you're going into it as a brand new story for everybody and not just for individuals that may not know the IP themselves. So this gives Universal Creative a bunch of opportunity to be able to go above and beyond, and this year I really think they did. So without further ado, let's get into it. In this Old West town, all hell is breaking loose as masses of red-hot lava demons are crawling out of Hell's Well and trying to possess everyone. As guests flee from the post office to the bank, the prison to the graveyard, their only hope is hatchet and chains with their arsenal of mystical weapons. So coming in at number 5 is Hatchet and Chains Demon Bounty Hunters. So I heard somebody describe this house as a Wild West meets Hellraisers, and I think it's a pretty good description. So in the press release, they described that there was going to be a bank, there was going to be a post office, there was going to be a graveyard, there was also going to be a prison. And I'm also thinking there's got to be a saloon. If this is the Wild West, there has to be a saloon somewhere in there. So I'm thinking there's going to be that as well. They have an opportunity to make this house really themed and really crazy out there. But it's in at my number 5 because just the story itself doesn't sound as interesting as the other houses do. Now, as much as this reminds me of like Supernatural, the show, which I love that show, I only love it in segments and then I get tired of it because it's the same thing over and over again. And I kind of feel like that's going to be this house. Like, it's going to be good for a moment, but it's not going to be a repeatable house and it's going to be a little bit forgettable. That's my prediction, but that's why it's in at my number 5. I think it's going to be a wild type of house, but I also think it's going to be a little bit lackluster, at least comparative to the other original houses that they have. Guests will attend their own funeral, where things are about to go from bad to worse. They'll enter their grave and then pass through the gates of the underworld, where flesh eaters await, before getting lost in a cavernous underground world where an endless gauntlet of flesh-eating creatures will hunt them mercilessly for all eternity. Okay, so coming in at number 5 is going to be Grave of Flesh, and this one sounds nasty, and in a good way, if that makes sense. To me, this just sounds like a complete and total nightmare. You're going to be going into your own grave. You're going to be at your own funeral, going into your own grave and going into the underworld. And I'm just imagining claustrophobia galore, that it's going to be tight and tiny and it's going to be gross creatures, worms and roots and dirt all around you. And because it's going to be so close of a pathway, I just feel like there's going to be scare actors just absolutely everywhere. Why is it at number 4? Because, again, I just think it's not going to be as much of a story as the other houses will potentially be. Again, these are my predictions and I can definitely be proven wrong because they can make this whole story of the underworld and create these own creatures. And I mean, they say they're flesh-eating creatures. So are they going to be like giant bugs or these brand new ones that Universal has created for this storyline? So it could be a bunch of different things, but the concept of this one, the storyline and potential lore just isn't ranking as high on my list as the other ones. However, I do have a feeling that this one is going to rank higher on my list of potential scare lists just because of the potential that it has. So there's that. In a remote northern village, a wicked being rises from the dead, bringing a horde of monsters and demons from the forge to wreak havoc on the townspeople. Those who dare will face icy, horned, winged, and wolfish fiends that gradually merge into one giant horror before trying to escape the belly of the beast. So next up at number 3 is Skalkin, Monsters of the North. Now, I am here for this house, one, because there's a lot of mythology that I think is going to be put into this house, and I also think it's going to have that very Nordic Viking feel to it based on just the name of the house itself. And because it's going to be set there and it's all about monsters of the north, and all of the artwork that they've put out so far makes it look very cold, I have a feeling this is going to be the cold house of the season, and that is perfect for this Florida girl that likes to go in August when it's the hottest here in Florida. So I think this house is going to be a relief, even if it's not ranked as high as maybe some of the others in regards to theming or storytelling. I think it's going to get a couple of extra good points just for being the cold house and walking through some icy rooms. However, that being said, I still think that this one has a lot of potential. Now, I'm thinking of a mixture between the giant monster from Ghostbusters Frozen Empire and like Game of Thrones, like those two mixing together and like creating this creature that's going to be beautiful, ever it's going to be terrifying at the same time. So I think this house is going to be really beautiful. I think the theming here is going to be great, and I think with all of the icy landscapes and theming that they're going to have in there, it's going to make this house really beautiful, and they have a potential for a really good storyline here as well. So I think those two things make this house higher up than the other two that we've already talked about. For those reasons, I just think it's going to be a prettier house, and I think the storyline might be a little bit better. It might have more to do with the theming than anything else. Guests will become doll size and witness the unnatural creations of a twisted little girl. They'll be hunted by fashion dolls she's melted and burned before going under her bed to be stalked by toys she's stitched together. They'll end up in her creepy Victorian doll house where undead horrors await. Okay, so coming in at number 2 is going to be Dolls Let's Play Dead. So this house sounds incredibly creepy. So toys and dolls all together can be super creepy. They sometimes look so lifelike that they almost look like they're real, but they're not. So I think this one's going to be creepy. But I also love the aspect of actually going into a Victorian dollhouse. Universal always does a great job with their facades and even creating the houses inside of these tents or these studios to make them look so immersive and like straight out of a movie. And I just have a feeling that this one is just going to be crazy. I think between everything being oversized, because it's going to be us shrinking down to a doll size or toy size, and actually going underneath the bed and going into this dollhouse, I think is going to be just absolutely fantastic. I think they also have a lot of opportunities for scares in this house as well, because you can have fake toys and then people playing toys and then puppets all intermingled into the same scene, and you don't know which one is which until they actually scare you. Those are sometimes the scariest ones and the creepiest ones because you're always on your toes, and so then it becomes a mental game as well as a physical game when you're going in there in your fear factor. It also makes me think of like Toy Story, but the kid next door that would tear apart all of his dolls and toys and his sisters and like meld them together as different creatures. I believe his name was Sid, and so I'm thinking of Sid when I'm doing that, but in a very like twisted, evil type of kid. That's what I'm kind of picturing as coming out, and what they're gonna have there is just toys that look like that, but that are ready to kill you. When I was describing this house to somebody else and I gave the Toy Story reference, they're like, yeah, Toy Story meets Saw. And I'm like, that could be it. That could definitely be it. I do think though that this house could definitely be a sleeper. I think the theming of this will be really good. I think the fact that they'll have the opportunity to make everything so gigantic and big that it will be almost overwhelming in a good way. So I really think this house is going to stand out because of that psychological aspect of it. I think because of the distortion between the size of things plus distortion of voices because you're smaller versus, you know, the twisted girl when she comes. I think all of that mixed together with the unhinged and mangled toys is really going to set this one apart and really mess with you psychologically. So I think this one, between the theming and I think what Universal is going to do, which is just go above and beyond, I think between that and the psychological side, this house could be the sleeper of the year and could potentially be the number one. But I did save number one for this spot for a specific reason, so let's go ahead and get to it. In 19th century Spain, a tortured artist moves to an isolated country manor to seek inspiration. Instead, as he wanders the ghostly hallways and haunted conservatory, spirits break into our realm through his paintings. He tries to resist, but the art comes to life and possesses him. Prepare to be a part of the permanent exhibition. So coming in at number one is El Artista, a Spanish haunting, The Manor.
Without further ado, it is my honor to announce the first original house for Halloween Horror Nights 34, El Artista, a Spanish haunting. When it comes to El Artista, a Spanish haunting, the fans can expect a tragic ghost story unlike any they've seen before.
There is this artist who is battling these fears, and it's coming out in his artwork, and that artwork is coming to life.
It is truly beautiful, gothic, extremely haunted.
There are many different Easter eggs, many different visuals in this house.
Their works of art are going to come to life throughout all of the event.
Round of applause for our panelists. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. We'll see you in the fog.
All right, so I have several reasons why this is at number one. So first off, I think this house is going to be absolutely gorgeous. So they've already told us that there is going to be this underlying story and theme throughout all of the scare zones and the houses and everything else that is around this conservatory, which is what you're going to be walking through when you're walking through this house. What we have seen so far put up into the parks is absolutely gorgeous. If you're over in the section where they're going to have the vampire masquerade ball and you see all the stained glass work, it just looks like a gorgeous house that has just been torn apart by all these roots, which is going to be involved with everything. Then if you look at the scare zone for Origins of Horror, they say they're going to have all these giant gargoyles and other statues that are going to be out there. And looking at all of that, that's all going to be part of this conservatory as well. So I have this strong feeling that this is going to be the prettiest house. I'm imagining the stained glass. I'm imagining the huge giant statues in stone and marble. These are paintings coming to life. So you're going to have these giant paintings all over the place. So it's going to be really gorgeous in my personal opinion. Number two, I think the storytelling of this is going to be fantastic. So the fact that they're basing this whole event around this house, and this house is supposed to be explaining and giving you the background of what everything is around you that's going on. Because this is like the icon of this year. They don't have an actual person that's an icon like Jack the Clown like they have in the past. It's going to be the conservatory that's the icon basically. So this is your icon, so I think they've spent so much time in this that the story of it is just going to be even more unfolded as you get through that house. And as you keep going, I think not only of the character that just moves into that manor and is being haunted and possessed, I think we're going to have stories of the people that are possessing him in these paintings and everything that goes along with that. I think we're going to learn some of that as we walk through the house. So I think there's a lot of storytelling aspects that are going to be a part of this. So the theming is going to be great, it's going to be beautiful, and the storytelling. So that's why it's at my number one. All right, so you made it this far into the video, so I hope you're liking it so far, and if you do, go ahead and click that like button. But we still have more to go. I am going to give you my predictions and rankings of what I think of the original houses in regards to their scare factor. All right, so in regards to the scare factor, what I'm basing this on is just total prediction of what the theming is, what I think it's going to look like, and how I think the scare actors and the scare tactics are going to be used in these houses. That's what's giving me my ranking and my predictions. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Galkin, Monsters of the North. Though I'm really excited for this house because 1, it's gonna be cold, but 2, I love mythology and anything to do with like the Nordic and Viking era and any stories going along with that. I don't think it's going to be the scariest. I think it's going to be the least scariest house of all the originals. I think what is going to be great about it is how beautiful it is in the storytelling, not the scare factor of it. So that's why it's in at number 5. Number 4 is going to be Hatchet and Chains. So this is, supernatural bounty hunters coming after these lava demons. And there's a lot of aspects of that can make it scary. However, I have a feeling this is going to be more on the comedy side of scary versus actual scare and horror. So that's why I'm ranking it at number 4. Now, does it have the potential to be scary? Yeah, if they don't use the comedy side of it and they actually go for true horror, I think it could. But for right now, because I think it's going to be more of that campy, gimmicky side, I think it's going to be ranking at number 4. And I think that's a pretty decent place for it to be in my prediction. So number 3 for scare factor, I have Dolls Let's Play Dead. Now I think this one could be potentially number 1, but I do not think it will fall lower than this number 3. Now, like I said with Hatchet and Chains, this one could potentially be more comedy and campy than scary horror, which is why I have it at number 3. However, because of the distortion of everything, like I mentioned earlier, of the voices and the sizing and not knowing what is a real toy and what isn't, because they're going to be all shaped differently, I think there's a potential to have more scare opportunities here. And because of that psychological aspect that I mentioned, I think that ranks it above the other ones that we've already gone over. But it's also has the opportunity to be very campy and comedy, so that's why it's not ranked any higher than number 3. At number 2, I have Grave of Flesh. Now, I'm not super hyped about this one compared to the other houses. I'm still hyped about it. I actually am pretty hyped about all of the houses, just some of them a little less than the others. This one, I think, has the potential to be extremely scary. It just depends on how they do it. Again, I think there is going to be a lot of claustrophobia because you're sinking underground and being eaten. So I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of stuff right there, right around your face and your legs. And I actually do think that they might be doing stuff closer to the ground too that you're not expecting. And you look down, then you look up, there's something else. And I just have a feeling that it's going to be one right after another hitting you in scare factor. So I think this one has the potential to be very, very scary and gory and gross. So that's why it is at my number 2. And of course, that leaves us with our number 1, which is El Artista. Now, I have this at number 1, not confidently, because I have it at number 1 as my most hyped, because I'm pretty confident that they put a lot of extra time into this because of the fact that it is the central theming of the entire event. But for scare-wise, I think it has a lot of potential, specifically because it's the paintings that are coming alive. So again, I think there's that psychological aspect of not knowing which paintings are going to be real, where there's going to be scare actors behind them, or where they're coming out of them, that is going to boost the scare factor of it, as well as the fact of it being possession. There is something that is a little bit deeper into the fear and the horror side of it. When you get to that can definitely up the game when it comes to your fear factor. All right, so there it is. There you have it. All of the 5 original houses for this year's event for Halloween Horror Nights 34. We've ranked them on our hype list as well as their scare level. And I think this year is one of the most diverse sets of houses that they have, or at least they've had in a long time. And I'm really excited to go in and see each of these houses. But now it's up to you, and I am turning it over to you. Tell me in the comments, which of these houses are you most hyped about? Which one do you think is going to be the scariest? We're only a couple weeks away from getting into the fog, so make sure to check back next week. I'll be going over all of the tickets, all the different tours, different packages and add-ons that you can have for Halloween Horror Nights. That way it can help you decide what tickets you want to get and what fits into your budget. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit the like button. And if you enjoy hearing more things about theme parks, including Universal, Disney, SeaWorld, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I do have videos coming out multiple times a week, and I'd be happy to have you as one of my favorite sparks here. And until next time, I am Shannon with a One Spark of Magic, and I'll see you in the fog. Toodaloo.